We are suffering from what we call Sharia. I happened to serve in Sokoto State 2005 and have been in Sokoto as a community developer. Sharia is about injustice. Sharia is not peace. And that is what we are suffering of here. You cannot tell me that a child is born, is not raised by his parent, he doesn't feel any parental upbringing. The child is abandoned on the street, scavenging, and he grow, become matured, and expecting to see a fellow child like him, decent, and you tell him that all is well. Where are these bandits recruited from? Who are these bandits? We have them in our homes. We accept that tradition. If it's a religion, we accept it, and we don't know that it's a danger. That is what is consuming us. We that were in the rural area, you could find out that some Fulanis that we allege are mostly innocent. We were born and brought up with some Fulanis. But because of misconception of farmers' headers, we are forced to be in that disagreement with them, of which there is nothing like that. Some of these people attacking are hired. They are paid for. They are not doing it free. Somebody said, do it. It's a project. As you know, Sharia is a project. It's a project. It started in Zamfara. It's gradually now circulating. Whether it is formal or informal, what we are passing through is Sharia. Some desperate, mischief traditional rulers and leaders in this country are bent to implement Sharia. And that is what is happening.
The attacks are basically from hired machineries from within and outside this country. We have evidence to show that. I have mentioned that before now, that the security should live up to the expectation. All the security, including immigration, because some of these people come from outside the shores of Nigeria. And if you do what you're supposed to do, this thing will come to an end. Secondly, apart from the people coming from outside, you have the victims. They have told you that nowadays, even the people within join the people from outside to do the attack. So it's becoming pretty difficult to ask these two people to sit down and agree. When you see your neighbor carrying gun against you, it becomes very difficult now for you to sit down and agree on how to live in peace if you don't have that similar gun. And the security will always rush after they have finished attacking and then arrest our youths with their gun guns and their machetes or whatever they have to defend themselves. But including the chief of defense staff, all the security chiefs have agreed that everybody should go and defend himself. If you arrest people with their weapons, what do you expect them to defend themselves from these attackers that are coming with sophisticated weapons? Please, you should go and rethink and re-strategize on what to do. The third thing I want to say is that they are becoming fierce. The attackers are becoming fierce. Before now, if they see security agents, they run. Now they exchange fires with the security agents. Before now, if they see agro rangers on their bikes, they run. Now they exchange fire with them. Before now, if they see gun trucks, they run. Now they exchange fire with gun trucks. We might need to begin to use APCs and maybe airstrikes, most especially for those areas in Bokos. For example, the Bokos is having boundary with Nasarawa State, Kaduna State, and Kwampan. And those of you that know Kwampan, there was a time that it's even difficult to get people go into that game reserve. So it is a brooding ground. Something needs to be done deliberately, strategically, to make sure we expunge that. And then we want to say categorically that the communities will do all they can to support the government if the government will support the communities. The last thing I will say, and I will not repeat it again because I've said it here, I said it in the barrack, I've said it severally, if the security agents allow the populace to lose confidence in them, we will have a situation that we cannot contain.
In 2017, for instance, there was an attack in Bakin Kogi, Kaninkong, and Channels TV, I'll mention names, said 7 houses were burnt and 4 people were killed. I left Port Harcourt to southern Kaduna. I counted 150 houses, and I saw a mass grave containing 21 persons. So the media is also complicit in what is happening in the Middle Belt. Thank God for News Central for what you're doing. Unfortunately, you are very young. You started in 2017 or thereabout. But these atrocities have been going on for many years. Before I founded Middle Belt Times, let me tell you why. I was writing for various platforms, and sometimes when I write my stories, they will tell me that these guys are not terrorists, they are unknown gunmen or they are bandits. And one day I spoke to an editor. I said, look sir, don't publish my story. And in 2019, of course, because if you must speak the truth as a journalist in this country, then you must be ready to face the consequences. 2019, I spent 162 days in prison for my uncompromised reportage. And when I was stepping into Kaduna prison, the first thing I wanted to see were the terrorists that have been terrorizing our people. I didn't find any. A few I found, including the ones who killed the Agwam Adara in 2018, they were looking better than me, that was coming from outside in the prison. As of today, I don't know their whereabouts. They may have been released, because I remember meeting a certain Adamu in Kaduna prison who told me something. He said, look, he was arrested for illegal possession of firearm. That's a capital offense. The security agents are no longer here. I heard somebody talking about the judiciary. It's a compromised judiciary. It is. When I got to prison, I saw a lot of young men from southern Kaduna who were standing trial for simply trying to defend their communities. I wept bitterly.
There is nothing on earth or in anywhere in the heavenly places that justifies the killing or burning of children. Absolutely no justification. None whatsoever. Children are like sins before God. They have no sins yet. They have not committed any sins except if you're punishing them for their parents, and that will be unjustifiable. Absolutely unjustifiable and unacceptable. The kind of situation that we witnessed in Benue, the Yellowater incident, I don't know how many people the people of Yellowater might have killed that justified the killing of 2 children that I saw burnt alive. There is nothing on earth that justifies it. Every time that image shows up in my head, it makes me almost teary. That how did we lose our humanity to the point where we say we want to avenge whoever we want to avenge? If this is supposed to be vengeance, both the Bible and the Quran and whatever else you study and you believe in, it says vengeance belongs only to Allah, to God. He is the one that avenges us, the one that takes care of us. So there is absolutely no point killing children, destroying the lives of women, raping women. There is no justification at all. Tit for tat does not allow anybody end up in a situation where you take my eye, I take your eye, we all become blind. And what's the value if all of us are blind? What's the value? There's none.
I'd like to start actually by defining the perpetrators, giving a context to what we term as the perpetrators of these very violent and barbaric attacks by all standards that have been orchestrated chiefly within the central region of Nigeria for more than 20 years. As far as I know it, I actually joined the profession as a conflict reporter in 2008, and I have been taking the risk, going to various communities, interacting with survivors, interacting sometimes even with the so-called perpetrators of, those who have been implicated in the attacks. And I have gathered a chasm of evidences that have unfortunately put me out for targeting, both by members of the security agencies and also the terrorists themselves. In 2020, I faced one of the biggest ordeals in my life after surviving multiple ambushes when the DSS put me behind bars, interrogated me for more than 2 days for simply exposing plans by terrorists to launch mass attacks in multiple communities south of Jos, the capital of Plateau State in Nigeria. Today, I like to say that by all standards and by all accounts, the attacks have been credited. Underline the word credited. We are not saying they have, but all the witnesses and all the investigations that have been conducted both by independent bodies and also members of the security agencies point to the Fulani tribe. Now, for context, the Fulani is a large ethnic group, granted, with membership of more than 35 million across Central and West Africa and around 10 million in Nigeria. The Fulani group has been very successful in politics, in trade and education, etc. However, a radical faction, a jihadist faction of the Fulani group has been implicated in thousands of genocidal massacres in Nigeria. In the last in recent years, according to non-profits, multiple non-profits, which have been investigating these attacks, the Fulani is responsible for 6 times more deaths, Christian deaths, than Boko Haram. And I dare to say that their victims are not only Christians and are not only non-Fulani members. If you are a Fulani man and you challenge these atrocities, you are also a target for attacks. If you are a Muslim and you challenge these atrocities, you are a target for attacks. And I have lost countless friends who are not from my tribe and who are not from my religion for simply standing up to challenge status quo and challenge their members who oppose these threats. Now, I'm not saying that there are no terrorists or there are no bandits or criminals in other ethnic groups, but when all fingers tend to be pointing in one direction.
I had hoped that I would hear the security agency start with an apology for the incompetence we've seen so far, right? Any adult would know that if his child brings a report card and it's below 50% performance, that person has failed. The security agencies have failed. And we were owed an apology here, which we did not get. I would first want to say that the conception of the program was a nice one. But my first criticism is that if this really is a gathering for middle belt groups, right? Middle belt groups only should have been invited here, right? If you want a dialogue with the victims and their aggressors, then you have a type of setting that you have here. I would also want to say that as to solutions, I really have not heard a lot of solutions, seated here. A few came close. But then first off, I would say we need to state the problem for what it is. Nigeria is currently being invaded by the Fulani. What we need to do is ban grazing. We need to also distinguish between who citizens of immigrant or settler origin are and who citizens of indigenous origins are. It's one of the reasons a lot of this drama has been going on. It's because the government has not clearly distinguished this. Next, we also need to return to the 1963 People's Constitution. As it is, the problems persist because the documents pretending to be a constitution, which is the 1999 one, was actually just a schedule to a decree, right? Let's go back to the People's Constitution. Let us have indigenous native peoples recognized as federating units. And I believe that With that done, a lot of these problems will automatically disappear. The Fulani's claim of a right to freedom of movement is not the right to trespass. It must be distinguished. You cannot perpetrate a crime and pray for legal cover. So this and so many more we had to share. But I believe that in time, when more discussions are being brought, a lot of our agitations will be brought forward. Thank you.
It is on the 24th that we are coming back from market around 2 o'clock in the evening. As we were in our car, we saw some Fulani men. They come out from mess. They start shooting us. As they start shooting us, they start killing people inside the car. So as they finish all that things, I am inside the car. Then I just come out to run out. They shoot me in my leg. I just run. After everything finished, we confirmed all the passengers that are inside the car. 14 people are dead, and only 2 wives and 3 children survive, including me, the passenger, the driver. I am appealing for the government to help us with security in our village, especially Mangor people and Chiran village, because we are suffering in that area. Every day, every night, we are sleeping, we will just hear the gun. If we come out, then we saw them, they have come to attack us. Even in that day, around 3 o'clock, they still follow our people inside our village. They start shooting. Since from 3 o'clock in the evening until 4 o'clock in the morning,
there was a rumor of attack that Fulani have invaded my community. I do all I could to reach the security agency to lay our complaint to them so that they can handle this very situation. Because I believe their presence is to tackle situations like this. However, we tried all we could, but there was no adequate response. And that very day, in the morning, when the attack took place on the 15th of July, we went in the morning to assess the damage. We were told that the Fulani blocked them on their way to intervene the situation. While we had a report in that very night when they called me and told me his men are on ground and they are on top of the situation. In fact, he has sent reinforcement only for me to come in the morning and ask. And he said his men were blocked. I believe, I'm not saying this, that the security men are not trying. They are doing their best. But it's like we have some bad eggs amidst them. Secondly, I'm saying this thing is not because we don't know what is happening in Nigeria. We as Nigerians, we know our problem. We as Nigerians, we know where the problem is. But to some extent, we have grown to that stage where we feel as if some people have the monopoly of violence and they can do it and go. Nobody can talk to them. Nobody can dare them. Let me also bring to your notice recently, today, on Sunday, something happened within my jurisdiction. This cows, mischievous, moved to my locality, destroy crops. My people, out of obedience to my order, were able to capture those cows, call the attention of the DPO. The DPO handed the cows to Royal Rangers. But when our locals engaged and said, oh, we need this thing to be done and the damage be paid. And they said to my people, how much is the damage? What they call the damage, and they said, if you are not willing to accept what the Fulani are willing to give you, then you must provide someone who will guard the cows for you. I think we began to threaten the locals again, which is wrong.
The experience has been so terrible. It's an experience you will not want to experience, because most times as caregivers we become depressed ourselves. There are a lot of cases, like for instance, just last week we got a case of a 10-year-old girl that was raped. Yes. She was raped, and it was unfortunate that we got to know about it just after 2 weeks when she was in such a terrible, terrible condition. So presently, we are taking care of her health, and we are making sure the perpetrator faces the consequences of what he has done. The government has been trying, but they can do better. We've attended series of meetings with the government but most times what they do is that they set up IDP camps on a yearly basis when these people are being attacked, and that is not okay. That cannot be okay at all. These people say they want to go back to their ancestral homes. They are majorly farmers. Benue State is just a state of 23 local governments, and we have 15 IDP camps in Benue State. So that's terrible.
Some people doesn't like us. We Fulani. They are saying we are terrorists. The way we are not a terrorist. My brother this morning, from people attacked him and started beating. They do for him a bad thing in him. Now he is in hospital because they are tracking the bomb do for him. I need for us, all of the government, call us and see and get for us peaceful. We and them, all of.
Good day to our viewers all over the world, and welcome back to Local Journal. We can hear what the people of the Middle Belt are saying. They're saying that the people who are causing the problem and the havoc they are witnessing in their area and their region are the Fulanis. And the Fulani knows that they are the ones that are causing all this havoc. And what they are saying now is that they don't want this havoc to continue again, and this is the reason why they are having this roundtable discussion to iron things out. But the thing is this: the Fulanis are hell-bent on denying the fact that they are the problem. They don't want to see themselves the problem. They feel that they were provoked to carry on with the attack that they've carried in the past, and they don't have any guilt whatsoever as to everything that has happened in the time past. And this is the problem. We all know that the reason why they are having the effrontery to say all these things they are saying is actually because of the fact that the government favors them. The federal government favors them regardless of where the president is coming from. They have a stronghold of this country, and that is the reason why they are behaving the way they are behaving. If probably maybe they know that they don't have anybody to run to, or they don't have a stronghold in this country, there is no way they will be acting arrogantly the way they are acting. Nigeria does not belong to them. The Middle Belt does not belong to them. And of course, they know the reason why they are doing this thing, because there is one precious thing in each of the states that they are targeting. Because I don't see any reason why this whole killing and this whole marauding lies within this region alone. I know there is a grand agenda to capture this country, and this is what their real target is. But aside that, they have a short-term plan and a long-term plan as well. Their short-term plans could be probably to amass wealth to use in actualizing their long-term plans. However, regardless of whatever plan they have, they need to be taught a lesson. They need to be told that enough is enough. We cannot continue like this, because Nigeria is not their republic. It doesn't belong to them. Nigeria belongs to everybody. And if, of course, the government is not ready to deal this menace, they should just divide the country so that everybody can go their separate way. This whole attitude of always trying to place the Fulanis at the detriment of other regions and other tribes doesn't make any sense at all. We need to call a spade a spade. There is no reason to whitewash anything or to paint it better than the way it is. The government needs to act now, or they will have themselves to blame. Kindly drop what you have to say in the comment section. And if today is your first time to visit our channel, please kindly like, share and subscribe to our channel.